I gave them the quote, and they asked me, "What is your opinion? Do we need it?" I said, "No, you don't need it. Your server, your needs are minimal. Yes, you have an older server. It's server 2003 small business server. But for the amount of data that you'll have, the amount of users that you have, and the workload you're putting on it, I think your server right now is fine. I'm not saying I don't want you to upgrade because it is an older server. It could crash tomorrow.
Sure.
But in my opinion, not taking out the fact that any server can crash at any time. Let's just throw that out the window. The server you have right now for your needs, I think is fine. Now, if you want to be able to do things you cannot do with this server, they were looking at getting Apple computers. They want Apple Mail to work with their Exchange server. It won't work with Server 03 because of Exchange 03. You have to have Exchange 2007 or later. But in the end, they decided that wasn't that big of a deal and they were going to hold off. Now, I could have easily said, yes, you need this server, but they really didn't. So I was honest and said, no, you wanted a quote, so I gave it to you, but I don't think you need it.
Well, good. Good.
And frankly, I have enough work to do without selling people things they don't need.
Yeah. How much, man? You gotta kind of give them what they need, not what. I mean, that's just it. Give people what they need and give them the option, and let them make that choice.
Mm-hmm. So then, of course, now I've done work for them for years. They trust me completely.
Sure.
But if they didn't trust me completely then, they trust me now because they know, oh, he's not just trying to sell me something.
Right.
Now I can tell you, here's the other server. This is on the high end, 16,000. So, and they bought 4 of those.
So what? Out of pure curiosity, what's inside those?
This is just domain and exchange server. That's all it does because they bought different servers for different things.
Okay.
Dual 6-core Xeons, 24 gigabytes of RAM, dual 300s for system, dual 600s for exchange data. Because the only data on there is exchange data. It's just doing domain and exchange. That's it. These are rack mountable because we also got a nice big rack to rack all these things. Dual power supplies. Now, of course, the licensing was a lot on this. It's not a small business server. It's Windows Server 2008. So 60 user cows for Server 08, 60 Exchange 2010 cows.
But just hardware alone, what are we talking
hardware
about?
Hardware alone on this
per
was
box?
7,000.
Okay. Yeah, if you haven't dealt with licensing before, it can become pretty pricey pretty quickly.
Yes, Windows licensing, very, very expensive.
Yeah, I agree.
So 2 of the servers were 7,000. One was just hosting one application. That was only 3,800. And they wanted a quote on labor. Remember I said before, I don't quote labor because it's impossible to guess.
Right.
But they wanted a guess. So I sent them a quote for a guess.
A guesstimate.
And I told them, this is a complete guess. I might as well just throw a dart at a dartboard and guess this. So their labor quote was $22,000.
And what would that have consisted of?
That was everything. That was migrating their old servers. They had one small business server, migrating all this to 3 or 4 servers, migrating the workstations, the users, Exchange, their applications. It was a big job.
What would have been the time frame to complete this project? Not even a job. This is officially a project.
This we had a month to do it.
Okay. Now, the reason I asked you for them folks at home, I said 22,000. How can you charge so much? But this is not just you. You have your whole team there, or I assume it's more than one person per se, and it's 4 weeks of work.
Right, and they did want to do this after hours, all of it. So the hourly labor quota was time and a half.
Yep.
Because they wanted it. I told them it can be done during hours. You won't even notice it. No, after hours. So fine, we quoted them after hours. In the end, I only had to put in a few hours on the weekend or at night because everything else was done during hours. because it really didn't disrupt them like I told them it wouldn't.
Okay.
So quoted was 22. I think in the end we billed them 7. So it came in at about 1/3
Okay.
of what they quoted. Because if you're gonna quote labor, quote high, quote very high.
And that is because?
Well, 2 reasons. You don't want to come back and be way over your quote because there's you quoted me 5,000. Why is it 8? That's a lot more. That's the main reason. 2, if you can come in way under a quote, they're happy. They're happy. They said, okay, 21, that's fine. If I could have billed them 19 and they would have been happy. Now it didn't take me that long. I didn't bill them that much. I told them I bill you actual. Even though I'm going to quote you this. If it's more, the bill will be more. If it's less, the bill will be less. And she joked, oh, right, like it's going to be less. I said, it may be. And of course, it was much, much, much less than I quoted them.
Sweet.
And being honest, quote,
Yeah, I mean, you have to do good business. So
now in the end, I realized that it might have been better to quote them a flat fee to install this, because really 7,000 for all that we did. Not only did we migrate, we upgraded all their applications, all their main applications, like 7 of them that this business uses. It's a large business. They have lots of applications. We upgraded every single one of them and migrated them. They could not have got that done cheaper anywhere else. There's no way. If I had them to do over again, I might quote them a flat fee and say, I'm gonna install this for 15,000. But it's hard to gauge if you do that, a flat fee. But I knew it wouldn't take as long as the hours I quoted. But
gotcha.
I was not gonna quote what I thought it was gonna take, because if one application goes wrong and you've got to spend time trying to work with support for that can eat up a lot of time. So
cool. Alrighty, we reached the end of this awesome show. Matt, where can people find you? How can people contact you?
They can find me sometimes on Twitter, Podnutz Pro. Better email matt@podnutz.com, and that is Matt with 2 T's.
There you go. And you can contact me at lalo@podnutz.com, LALO at podnutz.com. And also, some of you have been going through Podnutz. There's a page there, podnutz.com/contact. You can go ahead and direct your question toward Podnutz Pro, and Steve Cherubino will make sure that it gets to us. So with that, we thank you for participating. And other than that,
I have one more thing I forgot to mention.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I even forgot to tell you.
Oh.
Surprise.
Yes.
Next week. Not going to be able to do a show next week.
Okay.
So we will be back in 2 weeks.
So just to put that in perspective, since the show gets released at a later date, no show March 14th. We'll be back March 21st. So again, no show March 14th. We'll be back March 21st.
That's right. Yep.
And in saying that, I hope you guys have an awesome 2 weeks, not just an awesome week. So with that, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching and listening.